There we go. We're done with another Sunday night. And we've got 7 more Sunday nights to go. And then the regular season's done. Isn't that weird? And it really underlines and underscores just why these games feel so important and why scores are going down for the most part and fights seem to be going up just a little bit. And the nastiness of each game seems to be going up just a little bit as players realize these games are really, really important. And in 2 cases, these are division rivals. So for Central Division teams, tonight was about sending a bit of a message, and I think the message was received in a couple of occasions tonight's games, and we'll see how things go from here. But if you cheer for a home team, you had a 66.7% chance of being happy today. All right, we're going to start with the Rangers at home against the Kings. The Kings can't score. And this has been the problem all year, and it still is. And I don't know that their games aren't pretty to watch. Let's put it that way. And it could be called a boring style of hockey. Now, first period, there were some first minute arguments already between the players. I'm not going to call it a scrum. I've started calling it just disagreements. There's some disagreements going on the ice. 2 minutes and 23 seconds in, second shot on net. McKegg scores from Howden and Lindgren. So it's kind of an ugly start for both the Kings and for Jonathan Quick. So Peterson, who played well last night in New Jersey, is going to be pushing for starts. And for Quick, he's got to be good. And that was a rough start. However, the Rangers pushed at 6 minutes. Quick, he denied DiGiuseppe. So he bounces back from that early goal. Crossbar for Tyler Toffoli because Kings aren't allowed to score goals. The Rangers pushed again at around the 60-minute mark, and they played a very solid first period. And then the Kings had their pushback later on, and Shesterkin was absolutely top-notch. If there's a Rangers fan out there who doesn't think Shesterkin should be the starter, I would love to meet them, because right now, Shesterkin to me has proven he is the best goalie of the 3. I'm not even sure how close it is between the 3 of them right now. Shesterkin's absolutely fantastic. So whatever they're going to do, they got 2 weeks from tomorrow to do it, and then we'll see what happens from there. So we enter the second period, and they mentioned right off the hop that the Kings are 0-20-1 when trailing after the first period. It's not a sign that things are going to necessarily go LA's way. And it shows they do struggle to score. Shesterkin stopped Wagner early on. The Kings get a power play. During that, Iafallo and Kempe were both robbed. So, again, we can focus on the Kings not getting goals. We can also focus on Shesterkin playing really, really well. And both of those things are true. They're not mutually exclusive. The Kings were ahead in shots at that point in the game, so they had taken over. The Rangers would get some of that momentum back before the end of it. And Zibanejad nearly scores. The Rangers had a power play in there, and Zibanejad very nearly scores. He gets sort of robbed. He didn't end up getting a point tonight, which is surprising, but Zibanejad was prominent and was pretty darn good out there. In the last minute, Panarin was denied. So Panarin had an excellent opportunity. Jonathan Quick shuts him down. Quick was really, really good tonight. Doesn't end up getting into the 3 stars. I understand why, but for me, yeah, he was a pretty darn good goaltender tonight. Third period, early power play for the Kings. There was a post then for Zibanejad. All right, now, Kakko would score from Hedel and DiGiuseppe at 9:20, so halfway through the period, and LA's down by 2. Now, a minute and 27 seconds later, Trevor Moore scores from Wagner and Lizotte, so go ahead and cue all of the LA wins this deal talk. I have actually been looking through some threads about the Moore deal to LA where we've got Clifford and Campbell going the other way, and a lot of people saying, it's too expensive a price to pay. I don't know. That being said, Moore, I think, is a good player. Again, and it's compared to Levo, and I think rightfully so. I think Moore could thrive with LA in a role that he wasn't going to get in Toronto anyways. The Kings pushed for a tie at the 15-minute mark. They're unable to get that. And then Panarin. Panarin would score from Stroman fast at 17-12. And that one really took the air out of the sails. They pull the goalie with 2.5 minutes left. Well, we know what happens there, right? D'Angelo gets the empty netter from Hedel and DiGiuseppe at 17:49. And your final score is 4-1 for the New York Rangers, who keep that flickering, fading hope alive that they're going to get back into this race. Shesterkin saves 42 out of 43 in the victory. Quick saved 37 out of 40. I thought Quick would have been one of the 3 stars, and I was wrong. 3 stars are Shesterkin, Hedel, and DiGiuseppe, which I understand. DiGiuseppe got a couple of assists. I think that's his first 2 points as a Ranger. And Hedel, pretty decent game for him as well. So, yeah, the New York Rangers escape any kind of a trap. Notice I didn't put an actual Akbar magnet on that game today because I didn't think the Kings were going to win it. And, yeah, power plays 0 for 2 for the Kings, 0 for 1 for the Rangers. The shots favored the Rangers in the first, 15-10. They favored the Kings, 15-13 in the second, and favored the Kings in the third, 18-13. It was a shooting gallery out there. Final shots, 43-41 in favor of the road team, who just can't put the puck in the net. That's really it. Next up, so Chicago gets a lead, and it looks like they're going to run away with it. I really thought they were going to run away with this game because Kubalik scores from Kajula and Taves at 15 seconds. 15 seconds. This is the I'm not ready rule. I had that last year with Corey Schneider. It was just a joke. It's just sarcastic. That Schneider would allow a goal on the first shot, and I always joked, well, he's not ready, so he'd look for a do-over. Harkening back to when I used to play street hockey, and you'd get that goal, and the kid in net would go, well, I wasn't ready, that doesn't count. You'd be like, come on, you knew we were playing, that doesn't count. And so the joke's always been if a goal's in the first, say, 15, 20 seconds, if it's the first shot, goalie can go, that doesn't count, I wasn't ready. And the whole Jets came out not ready. That assist for Taves, that's 800 points in his career. So congratulations to Jonathan Taves on hitting 800 points. And for Kubalik, that's the 22nd goal. And we'll see where he ends up landing in rookie talk by the end of the year. Because notice, Merzlikins is kind of coming up. Makar has become dominant. And Quinn Hughes is going to get his share of votes. So it's going to be an interesting rookie vote. Yes, the Jets were flat-footed out of the gate. DeBrincat had a shot that was blocked. It was a pass from Strome. It was a really nice pass. Decent shot. Got blocked in front of the net. The shots, though, were 3-0 for the Hawks at 6 minutes. And what makes it worse is at 8.5 minutes, the shot attempts are at 15-2 for the Chicago Blackhawks. Yeah. At that stage, I'm like, this game is kind of over, and we haven't even got into it yet. And then what made me feel even more that way was Brendan Saad scoring a goal from Kane and Sealer at 10:58. Yes, Nick Sealer with his first assist as a member of the Chicago Blackhawks. I believe that's his first point of the year. He didn't have any with Minnesota. So, yeah, Sealer, there you go. He's right in there, and here we go. And the Jets, to that point, looked absolutely horrible. Just awful. The Jets get a power play. Crawford robbed Ehlers. Shortly after that, there was a late power play for the Jets, and Wheeler had a really nice shot, but it's stopped by Crawford. So Crawford has an excellent first period. So even when the Jets do turn the shots around, it looks like, well, they're behind by 2, and Chicago's still playing a really good game. Second period, the shots favored the Jets early, and they didn't get frustrated, and they were actually frustrating the Hawks pretty early in that period. The Hawks end up getting a power play. During the power play, this is where you get frustrated, Kyle Connor scores from Andrew Kopp at 3 minutes and 44 seconds. And let's just take a minute here to appreciate how good Andrew Kopp was tonight and how solid he's been all year and the strides he's taken at both ends of the ice. So for Connor, that's the second shorthanded goal of his career, and he looked pretty adept at it, so maybe take more shots shorthanded and put him out there shorthanded as well. And then there was a fight between Sealer and Beaulieu. And it felt like Nick Sealer was kind of helping to wake up the Jets, or Beaulieu, with picking that fight, helped to wake up the Jets. When he was sent off for repairs because his cheek was cut, he yelled out to the whole bench, "Let's go." There was a word in between "let's" and "go" that I'm not going to say, but he did. He basically, let's get this going kind of thing, and the whole bench was definitely supporting him on that. So that was an important little detail. Power play for the Hawks. And then Scheifele collides with Wheeler behind the Chicago net. Neither one saw the other one coming. And it looked like Scheifele got hurt. Wheeler wasn't 100% coming out of that either. But Scheifele ends up staying in the game. Kopp had a chance in between that was denied. Andrew Kopp, again, great game by Andrew Kopp. So Scheifele got a really good chance before the end of the second period as well. Ehlers hits a crossbar. He's so close to his 20th tonight. The Hawks went back to the power play. So going into the third period is 2-1 for the Hawks. So they've got to be able to nail this down, right? All right. Laine, early in the third, it's mentioned he hasn't had a shot on net at this stage. He's been shooting, just his shots aren't hitting the net. So frustrating night for him. And apparently they talked to him after the hat trick where he had all 3 power play goals yesterday. And he said, sometimes it's just the way it works. It's a bouncing puck. And he said he didn't feel like after the hat trick game yesterday that it was a great game for him. He thought that he could have done better. Honestly, tonight, he was a really good player, and yet he didn't get the hat trick. The Jets got a power play. Crawford denied that Jets power play, but then the Jets got another power play. And Jonathan Toews, I've talked about this before. Jonathan Toews, when he takes a penalty, kind of flies off the handle. And I'm always surprised he doesn't take a misconduct. The first penalty he took, it could have been a bit borderline. But again, I'm kind of surprised that with the way he talks, that a referee doesn't just go, you know what, 10 minutes. Just 10-minute misconduct. Go have a shower. Just cool off. I've had enough. But it doesn't happen. So on that power play, Wheeler scores from Pionk and Hellebuck at 9:04. That makes Toews less happy coming out of the penalty box. And then Jets fans started mocking chants at Crawford. They start chanting Crawford's name. And I thought, it's a tie game, and Crawford's playing really well. I thought it was a really bold strategy, quoting Dodgeball. But you know what? They were fine. Andrew Kopp with a gorgeous, beautiful bar-down goal. Roslovic and Morrissey with the assists at 13:27. And at that point, you realize the Jets are winning this game. They came out in the third period and said, all right, we're the faster team, we're more talented, and we're going to show it. And they did. They were faster to all the pucks. It forced Jeremy Colleton to go with the nuclear option. That's what they call it when they put Toews and Kane together. So they're together, nuclear option time, and then Toews took another penalty with 3:52 left. And it was a nasty looking penalty. Shoulder right to the head. So Wheeler takes that shoulder to the head. He ended up leaving the Jets bench, obviously taken into concussion protocol. I didn't hear anything about whether he has one or he doesn't. Concussion protocol takes a while, so the fact that it was in the last, say, 3 minutes of the game, 4 minutes of the game, that means he wasn't going to come back even if he was okay, because the testing takes longer than that. But yeah, so Wheeler in concussion protocol from that shoulder from Toews. It's not something that I think the Department of Player Safety looks at, but it's just dumb. It was a dumb hit thrown by Toews. So they pull the goaltender shortly thereafter as I'm running out of board. And I'm like, okay, am I going to be able to fit everything on the board? Laine would score from Connor and Scheifele at 18:37. That's an empty netter. And then Connor gets an empty netter at 19:40 from Scheifele and Laine. And I'm very glad that I've got this board up today because I've got 3 games and it's wider and yet somehow ran out of room. So the Jets get to 2 empty net goals to make it a lopsided win for them, 5-2. Huge win at home. They're now, I believe, 3-0-1 in their last 4 at home. They've finally started to make it so that teams going to Winnipeg won't enjoy themselves. And for Chicago, this is a really frustrating loss. They now fall 2 points further behind Winnipeg, but they fall 1 point further behind a playoff spot. I believe 4 points behind Calgary. And for Flames fans, this has to be frustrating because they do drop to the second wild card. It has to be frustrating to Coyotes fans because now they're in a position where it gets more and more perilous. And I've said, eventually somebody's going to get on a hot streak. It may very well be Winnipeg. Crawford saved 31 out of 34. He was very good. Hellebuck saved 24 out of 26. The 3 stars in this game, Kopp, Wheeler, and Crawford. So, and an honorable mention to Toews' temper. He's always called Captain Serious, but I think, I don't know, I don't know that people watch his game and see when he takes a penalty. He gets very animated. Not that serious. Not when it's a big game. The shots, 10-9 in the first in favor of Winnipeg, 12-10 Winnipeg in the second, and then in the third they take over. 14-7. Final shots 36-26 in favor of the Jets. Chicago goes 0 for 3 on the power play. Winnipeg 1 for 6 on the power play as the Hawks get less and less disciplined as the game goes along. And again, it's a frustrating loss for Chicago because they needed this. All right, next up, another divisional matchup between two teams that really don't like each other. I have a gripe with the coverage of the game only because it's almost as if NBC watched my review of the early game and went, oh, he was aggravated by the crew that we had for the early game. I know what we're going to do for the late game. So, first period, the Wild pushed it around the 2-minute mark. They came out pretty good and understanding they're up against Colorado. They know what they're up against. These teams know each other very well. There was a power play for the Wild. They don't score on that. The Avalanche get their turn on the power play. They don't score on theirs either. And then Fiala had a breakaway that was denied by Francouz. Francouz had a pretty good game tonight. So this guy, who's been a very vocal supporter of Francouz, came out of tonight going, he's a good goaltender. Not sure why he doesn't play more. This was his first start in nearly 3 weeks. Francouz stopped Greenway as well. Then there's a late power play for the Avs, and I put up here, Pierre's hard to listen to. He goes off on tangents, and he talks about things that aren't related to the game, and you got to hear about where every single player grew up and who they played with, every single player, and then you got to hear about how he went to watch a women's hockey game, and it was pretty good hockey. And what it reminded me of was when you got a friend that's got like their kids in a high school play and they expected it to be crap, but they're like, I went to see it and it's not that bad. You should come with me to see the high school kids play. And you're like, I don't want to see your high school kids play. And that's how it felt listening to Pierre talking about watching a women's college game that had nothing to do with this. I understand we're in the state of hockey. I get that. But he began driving me crazy. It would get worse. So second period, scoreless game. Frustrated hockey guy. Second period. Belmar scores from Calvert and Graves at 1:37. That's a shorthanded goal. Those have a way of turning momentum against the team that had the power play. Ask Chicago. And Calvert, that's his 200th point. He would celebrate with a fight. Brodin then hit the post shortly thereafter, but Colorado takes a penalty. With the power play, Spurgeon gets the power play goal from Parisi and Fiala at 4 minutes and 58 seconds. Then Calvert ends up on a partial breakaway. It drew a penalty. I actually was surprised they didn't award a penalty shot there. I thought it was borderline. I thought they could have awarded a penalty shot. So on that power play, McKinnon gets power play goal from Makar and Kadri at 7:22, and I believe it was Landeskog that was doing an amazing job screening in front of the net. There's no way that Dubnyk saw that shot. And then Landeskog would score from Cole and Comfort at 10:36. That made it 3-1, and it feels like as an Avalanche, they are rolling downhill, they are gaining momentum, and it's going to get more and more difficult for Minnesota to survive. But Francouz denied Zucker as the Wild started to take the play back. There was a late power play for the Wild, and check it out. Kevin Fiala continues his hot streak. He scores the power play goal from Stahl and Zucker. That is the second point he had in this game. Kevin Fiala is playing very well. That's at 17:31 and makes it 3-2. So we're ending the third period. The Avs, 25-1-4 when leading after 2. You can now make it 26-1-4. It's a pretty strong record right there. And it's these kinds of records you see teams put up that eat away at that theory that it's never too late. Team can always come back. You can, but your percentages of coming back and winning are like 5-6%. It's rare. So when you're down going into the third, it's tricky. Some teams are pretty good at coming back. In most cases, it's probably already done. Cunnin was denied as the Wild did push early. And then Calvert had a fight with Cunnin. They almost had another one. They came out of the box and it looked like they thought about it. And then Landeskog thought about going with Luke Cunnin. I don't know what's wrong with Luke Cunnin, but the Avs don't like him. Or the Wild with Calvert. I don't know what it is. Burakovsky got shaken up. Kadri was already out. And this is where I started yelling at my television. And I'm being literal about this. I started yelling at my TV because Pierre had to tell us about every single person on the Avs bench who got hit with a shot. And when a guy gets hit with a shot, they go over to the bench, they're kind of wincing, and they're like, but they stay. Pierre Burakovsky takes a shot off the inside of the knee. I am sure that hurts like hell. Burakovsky goes over to the bench, kind of away from his teammates. He recovers. He ends up staying in the game. But McGuire's like, oh no, they got to get him out of here. No, he's not good. He's hurt. He shouldn't be on the bench. He needs to go. And then Belmar ends up coming out. He's like, oh, Belmar's gone down the tunnel. Oh no, he's sitting on the bench. No, he's gone down the tunnel. They got to get Burakovsky out of here. And I'm like, okay. The between the bench thing is fun. You don't micromanage every single little boo-boo that the players get on the ice. It's a tough game. I don't know how players block shots like that. I don't know. There's a fearlessness to being an NHL player that I don't have. You know, even when we have meetups, and this is just like ball hockey, and guys wind up with a slap shot, and I'm like, the net is yours. Forget this. I'm not getting hurt. So, you know, that's... And so when a hockey player gets hurt, I understand, but it sort of made it the injury report with Pierre McGuire, and it was distracting because even while the play was going on, he's still on about it. This guy's still on the bench. Well, then it's not news. It's just not news. You don't watch the news and have the weather girl coming and going, it's still raining out, just so you guys know. I just looked out the window and it's still raining. Okay, thanks. Still raining out. Just thought you might want to know. And then like 5 minutes later, yeah, there's a clearing over there. I thought it was going to clear up, but it's still raining. That's Pierre. Okay, and then McKinnon was denied by Dubnyk. Absolutely. I don't know how Dubnyk made that save. It was absolutely fantastic. He must have seen what Vasilevsky did the other night and gone, I can do better than that. I've watched the replay numerous times. I don't know how Dubnyk saved it there. And these teams really don't get along. They really don't like each other. The microphones were picking up some amazing arguments between the players who clearly do not like one another. There was no apology that I heard anyways from the announcer. Sometimes you'll hear like the announcer say, oh, we're sorry for the language you're hearing, while I'm like on the floor because it's great. But it was Cuthbert and I kept saying, okay, Chris, you got to keep talking. Don't take a breath because the other guy's going to take over. They pull the goalie with 1:50 seconds left. They cannot get the tying goal because Francouz is good, the defense is good, and overall Colorado very solid at protecting a lead. Francouz 34 saves on 36 shots, 944 save percentage for Francouz tonight. Just throwing that out there, just lobbing that out there. Dubnyk saved 30 out of 33. He has another good game. That's important for Minnesota. I know the 2 points are very important as well. But Dubnyk being back on his game and getting his save percentage together and just getting his overall game together is big. If they're going to make a push and get into the playoffs, and they're not that far out, they need Dubnyk to be at his best. Stalock's been the better of the two goalies. If they're going to get into the playoffs, it has to be Dubnyk that does it. Landeskog, Fiala, and Spurgeon are the 3 stars. I'm not sure why 2 members of the Wild are the 3 stars when they lost in regulation. That I find odd. Fiala I can understand. Spurgeon, I honestly would have gone either with Makar or Landeskog. And Makar, another thing with Pierre McGuire, I'm pretty sure that Pierre went to him for an autograph after the game. I'm just, every time he was out on the ice, he's like, oh, he's so fast. And then he even said, like, when he skates by, you can feel the breeze off of him. I'm thinking, that's how skating works, because you move through the air, and that's physics. Anyways, power play, 1 for 3 for Colorado, 2 for 4 for Minnesota. Shots, 11-10 in the first in favor of Minnesota, 16-15 in favor of Colorado in the second, and 10-7 in the third in favor of Minnesota. Final shots, 36-33 in favor of the Wild. And there's probably people watching this thinking, you know, when there's an NBC game on, I really hope I can watch it someday with Shannon, because it sounds like it would be a lot of fun to watch if Pierre McGuire is at ringside. Probably would be entertaining, yes. Because I know my wife got a good chuckle out of it. I even had to go, because we were both watching it down here writing on the board. She's watching upstairs because she loves Minnesota. I'm like, can you hear this? And she's like, yep. I'm like, do you hear me yelling at the TV? And she's like, yep. Big smile on her face. So, yeah. Anyways, there you go. We're done for Sunday night. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts regarding tonight's games in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And it was an entertaining day of hockey. I do probably prefer when it's fewer games and I can really get into and do the deep dives on the games. But the busy nights are kind of fun too because a lot happens. So there you go. Thanks again for your support. I will talk to you again soon.